Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back. Today we're going to be discussing the shiny system in Temtem and going over the 5 different ways that you can hunt for these elusive critters. Whether it be through the game's radar mechanic, breeding, or otherwise, today's video is going to be an all-encompassing guide to get you started on your shiny hunting journey. With all that being said, if you are a fan of monster taming games like Temtem, definitely subscribe to my channel because I put out new monster taming videos every single day. And with that, let's dive in. Alright, so quickly before we get into the list, there have been some changes to the odds and ways in which certain facets of the shiny system works in this game. So even if you're someone coming from early access, this video will be updated because, for example, radars work differently now. The base shiny rate's different, etc. Also, I've been using the term shiny because I think that's a lot more well known for newcomers, but shinies in Temtem, if you didn't know, are called Luma forms. So from here on out, I will be referring to them as such. Also, quick note, all Luma Temtem have a minimum of 3 perfect stats, so that's a nice little bonus too. Anyways, let's dive into the list. Number 1, radars. Alright, so I have a whole guide going over radars for a more in-depth look at the system linked below, and I'm going to take a quick little snippet from there because I think I did a pretty good job explaining it, if I do say so myself. The way these radars work is that you can make your way to that specific Temtem's habitat and then you can activate the radar. Don't worry if you activate it in the wrong spot like I did, just make your way to the appropriate spot whilst it's activated and then just wait. Every so often, and this also depends on the specific Tem's spawn rate, the Temtem will appear in the overworld. All you have to do is walk up to it and the battle will commence. This is a breakdown of how everything works. In the top right corner, you have a counter that indicates you're chained. You can add to this by either defeating or capturing the overworld Tems that you interact with. If you encounter an Osuchi, for example, in the grass, it won't count. Now keep in mind that when you do interact with these overworld spawns, you must capture or defeat them to keep your chain. Running will break your chain and thus your radar. Defeating or capturing any other Tem besides that specific one your radar is designed for will also break your chain. However, you can run away from those Temtem. For you early access players, there were also some additions made to radars as outlined in this post from Crema. Radars will now always find unevolved forms. This way we can ensure you get the whole line as Lumas if you decide to evolve it. Every species of Temtem will now have the same spawn rate while using the radar. This effectively means radar spawn Temtem will now appear quickly and constantly no matter the species. Radars will no longer have expiration dates. We're reducing the number of encounters from 400 to 300, removing the first 100 counters so you won't need that many before you get a Luma bonus. From now on, every encounter will have a bonus of some sort. With this reduction, you'll be able to break the radar from the first encounter. Also of note is that radars will now be obtainable in the Tamer's Paradise, aka the 7th mini island, for feathers. This will actually allow you to buy whatever radar you want rather than hoping for RNG, which was involved with the previous method where you had to rematch Dojo Masters and hope you were getting the radar that you wanted. Number 2, breeding. So those coming from Pokemon will remember that breeding 2 Pokemon of different nationalities will result in a higher chance for a shiny, and while Temtem doesn't do that, there is a shiny hunting method tied to breeding. So essentially, if you have a Luma Temtem and breed it with a non-Luma Temtem, you have a 1 in 1,000 chance of getting a Luma, and if you breed 2 Lumas together, that chance dwindles to 1 in 100, which admittedly is very high. That said, before you discount every other method on this list and just breed forever, it is important to note that Temtem has a fertility system, which gives you a limited amount of times that you can actually breed, as you can see with the fertility tree here. Once all fertility is blacked out, that's it. So while the odds increase substantially, you only have a handful of times you can actually do it. Number 3, Saipark. Alright, so the Saipark was originally an endgame area for the early access because at the time there were only 3 islands available, but now, since the game is fully out, this is like a mid-game area. You can locate it on the first island by using the rock hopping gear, and basically what this place does is each week it resets and provides different Temtem. From what I've seen, it generally will rotate between focusing on Temtem with higher SVs, which are the game's IV equivalent if you're coming from Pokemon, and increased Luma odds. I've seen them include bonuses from 2 times the Luma chance all the way up to 4 times, and what's particularly good about the Saipark is that when they do have more rare Temtem, like those 5% ones, the odds are significantly increased. You do have to buy special Tem cards in order to participate, sort of like the Safari Zone from Pokemon, but yeah, from there it's a very simple, just run around and cross your fingers type deal. Number 4, full odds. All right, so full odds, of course, are the lowest, and the immediate conclusion for most would be that it's a worse way to hunt. However, there are some advantages that come with full odds that are important to note. First of all, radars are available in the end game, so if you want to Luma hunt early on, this is how you're going to have to do it. Secondly, they're available via obtaining feathers, as I mentioned, which means you're going to have to compete in the game's various battle facilities. Maybe you aren't a competitive whiz and just want to start Luma hunting right away. This would be yet another reason to do this, and you also have those psychos that just like to full odd hunt for fun. So there's that. The base odds of finding a Luma is 1 in 7,500, which has been increased since its previous iteration in the early access being 1 in 10,000. Number 5, buying stuff. Okay, the final method is for those that don't mind the grind, as long as it means that they'll be ensuring their eventual Luma. That is to simply just grind for Pansons, whether it be by using free tem, dojo rebattles, daily quests, competitive PvP, selling your breeding rejects, or whatever via Temtem's trading hub. Lumas can be quite expensive, and this can end up being very time consuming, but conversely, each time you net yourself some Pansons, you know you're getting slightly closer to that goal, whereas you can hunt for a Luma for an hour or 40, and you're no closer than when you started. You can either buy eggs with Luma parents that have a high chance of being Luma and then become the original trainer, allowing for the use of telomere hacks, or you can simply just buy an already hatched Luma at a higher cost. The choice is ultimately yours, and do stay tuned, I will make a 1.0 money farming video for you guys as well. But yeah, those were the 5 main ways to hunt for Lumas in Temtem. We are still very early on in the full release, so if anything comes up, if there's any major changes that have not been covered, or if new methods are found, definitely expect me to be covering that. So as I stated previously, subscribe to the channel if you're not already for more Temtem content. You can check out my Twitter, my Discord, and my Patreon, all linked below. Special thanks to the patrons, especially Jim Hamilton, Droghost, and Dark Persona, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.